If you could put your mic on mute, great. Good afternoon from our studio in Amsterdam. We are thrilled today. We have a brilliant speaker and impact thought leader, Patricia Ricard. Before we start, just some brief housekeeping announcements. If you have any comments, just put it in the lower right-hand corner. And if you need to chat privately with someone, just move your mouse over their name. That will pop up. If you want to clap, there's an emoji in the lower right-hand corner. So Patricia Ricard is the president of the Ricard Oceanographic Institute. Most of you probably know her family from the beverage industry, but her work is mainly in ocean conservation. And she has very kindly agreed to share her thoughts around restoring the ocean and creating business opportunities. Patricia, good morning, and thank you so much for doing this.
Well, good morning, Robert, and thank you for TBLI to inviting me to that great talk. And my best hello to the people who are listening, because I realize it's much earlier for you because I'm in Paris, so I think I've got a comfortable time. But thank you for the early birds. Well, as you said, Robert, what I'd like to share with you it's some view and comments about maybe more than 30 years of work and reflection with scientists and with NGOs and governments, because I have the chance to have a personal pathway which has brought me all around those people. So today I have a very kind of central. I always said I'm not a key, I'm just the key holder, and yes, it's great. So let me share some global thoughts about mostly what I like. It's the link between companies and transition on biodiversity, climate, ocean, and I think that today most of the people still sees the need of change like something which is going to be hard, that's going to be complicated, and that don't always see the good opportunities you can maybe find out of it. So when I talk to people from companies,
Oh, what happened? What happened over here? My apologies. I think we just lost Patricia. She'll be back in a few minutes. I guess something happened with her connection. There you go. Okay, she's back. Oh, Patricia. I think your Wi-Fi connection might be a bit weak, but she'll pop in again. Because she's in the room. If you can just okay, there we go.
Yeah, I hope it's gonna stay. Okay. So I always like to do the difference between green business and blue business, because like green economy or blue economy, some people would think that blue economy is so only what's it's linked to the ocean. But I would like to go back to Al Gore for those reminders that the book of Mr. Al Gore, that the blue economy was more a breakthrough innovation. It was if you stay green, you will have more sustainability, but you will not change your process. You will not change the way you address your market or the way you build your goods. And so you will be better, but you will not make that really big step that we all need today. So if you go to blue economy, that means you really get to breakthrough innovation, and that means that adding more goals and more impacts in the changes you want to see in your companies. So today, I think it's important to keep in mind that there are three main things in terms of sustainability to take care of. First, of course, is climate, because that's, of course, everybody knows climate is very important. Biodiversity, because when it comes to adaptation, we can do it, but when it comes to mitigation, nature is definitely the best way to do it. And then if you add the ocean conservation and the ocean protection, then you have all the water, from rivers to lakes to the ocean. So if you can take care about the climate, the ocean, and the biodiversity, you stay in a nexus that makes your product, your company, your initiative, your idea much more sustainable. So I think that's very important. Sometimes I saw people that say that maybe, okay, I'm going to get green. I'm just going to change from fossil energy, and I'm going to have some solar panels or some windmills, but they don't change the company. I'm not sure those companies will survive. So today we really need we have to enhance it and go much further and much quicker. So that's where we can use something which is a nature-based solution, bioinspiration, biomimicry. I mean, our goal today is to make that our technosphere that we human has created completely more balanced with the biosphere that we live on and we depend for foods, for air, for water. So we really have to get inspired and to understand and really enhance the knowledge we have about how those ecosystems works and get more information out of it. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. If you go, for example, for marine renewable energies, today we've got the basic ones are turbines or windmills, and they're big farms and they're big investments. And sometimes the windmills will be completely a bit in trouble because the winds are getting higher, the waves are getting stronger. So we are still using some approach that we've been developing for the last 25 years, but the world has changed so much. The climate has changed. The irregularity of the climate has changed so much that I think we have to focus today on much more adapted, smaller and more resilient approach. There's a company which I like a lot. It's called EELS Energy. It's EELS. It's EELS. And they're just doing they're doing energy with membranes. For example, if you think quietly, have you ever seen a bird or a fish who has a propeller or a windmill? Nothing's under the water turns. Everything's waved. So why should we attach ourselves to make energy while turning instead of waving? So that company, EELS Energy, is mimicking the cetaceans, the dolphins, and they're doing an amazing ratio of energy producing, and it's so much adaptable. So that's the kind of approach I like. And for example, today, if you look at shipping today, it's quite amazing because you've never seen any fish with a propeller at the end of his tail. So and if you look at the ocean, who are the big aviar carrier? Let's say the whales. The whales are the big carrier. They don't swim on the surface against the wave. They use the huge current on the deep sides, and so I think, and if you look at the designs of the very breaking through innovation of future of shipping, they look a bit more like submarines. I don't know if they're going to go deep down, but for sure that they will not stay at the surface, because that's where the energy it's more difficult, because they've got the wind, they've got the waves, and they have to push that. So I think if we integrated that a lot of ideas and a lot of consideration would come from observing nature and how the efficiency of nature. It would be very interesting. So now let's go back to what we do at the Institute. The Institute has been founded by my grandfather and a scientist in 1966, so we've been there for a while. And I'm the president of the Institute since 16 years now. We are working today on a very specific subject, which is the feed for the fish farms. Fish farms started like in the 70s because it was easier, and the salmon farms were making so much money, and then slowly the fish farm become the natural answer to the crawling of small scale fisheries, mostly in Africa or in South America. But then it was considered better. But then we forgot that today fish farms are been multiplied by 5 since 1919. So in 30 years, we multiply by 5 the market of the fish farming, and people always forgot that those fish, even if they're farmed, they're still fed by real fish. So we have an amazing, increasingly pressure on the stocks, like sardinel, anchovies. I mean, all those what I would call stockfish. It's really getting at the age that it might crawl. There's too much pressure on it. There's no time to redo the upcycling, the recycling, the renewing of the population, and mostly all the illegal catching. It's very interesting because that's a very juicy market. So we have a double threat here. We have the threat of crawling a very important part of the ocean ecosystems, and these ecosystems includes plankton, and this plankton includes making oxygen for the planet. 50% of the oxygen of the biosphere came from the ocean, but it came from a living ocean. If we crawl, or if we get to the point that the ecosystem will get will not function anymore, we will have very serious trouble. So we have that, I would say that ecological threat, and then we have another threat, which is the economy, because all those farms who are supposed to maintain lower countries and very active markets too, may be very affected by the change of the feed or up the price rising, or maybe the stock disappearing. So today, how can we feed a fish in the farm? Well, if you look at the biology of the fish, if you look at and if mainly fishes who are raised today, because they're more expensive on the markets, are carnivore fish. Well, you can feed carnivore fish with feed made out of insect flour, and so you can have the insect flour and to feed the fish, and then you should raise the fish out of the water on land-based small multi-trophic farms. I will come back to that later. And then how do you feed the insects? And then you can have the circular economy approach, and then you start feeding your worms or your larvas. I like the black soldier's larva because they're very important, but we can also put some marine worms in the meal and some microalgae too. I mean, we can really enhance that feed for the fish on a very healthy approach. And then you can feed those worms and those insects with all what we call waste, food waste. I mean, cities and human societies and agriculture and food companies. I mean, we have so much waste, organic waste we are producing, that we can really, in fact, make a very more positive trophic chain. So let's go back to the farm. Why do we want to use to raise the fish in the farm on land? Because the water is changing. The water is changing, and the surface temperature where do you operate when you have a farm are getting more and more warm. And then if your waters get warmer, your oxygen is going down. For example, if you have a glass of Coca-Cola, if it's very cold, you will feel the bubble. If it's warmer, you will feel less gas. So it's exactly the same on the smaller scale for the ocean. So you don't want to be on a place where you will have a drop in oxygen, and that can maybe kill all your fishes while you're breathing them. And then we also have virus in the water. We all get out of a pandemic, but there are virus and there are bacteria and there are very negative pathogens in the water. And those fish, because they are farmed together, because they're from the same DNA, they're not as strong as wild fish who will mix with other more species. So we have a threat there. So so that's the biological threat. Then you have it's the climate issue. Every time you take a fish out of the water, you need to put it on ice, and ice is fresh water and energy. And so, do we really need to use so much energy and water to put just a fish from a distant farm in the sea? Goes back in the boat, gets in the fridge, goes in the car, goes in the fridge, gets to the market, goes in the fridge, gets to your place, goes in the fridge. I mean, it's such an amazing cold chain. And do we really need to have so much CO2 on that cold chain? Meanwhile, if you breed the fishes at closest to the consumers, then you can have a swimming fish until lunch. And then you also, you know what, you can produce as jobs, because when you bring back the food production back to the place where people live, you bring back easy job to catch. You don't need to be a digital expert to feed fish and to make some urban farm. So you can really putting the protein farm, the fish farm, the multi-trophic fish farm within the basin of people or consumers, you can give an answer to food waste. You can give an answer to create easy jobs. You can give an answer of traceability and sovereignty and safety for your food. You can know what you eat. You know what your fish has been eaten. You can have a complete traceability on what that fish is made from and of. And you can also have fresh fish as long as, you know, don't make big. I think that's the most big challenge for the future. We have to stop that big makes more money. Bigs make also more impact. If you have a huge farm, a big farm, people will be more far away from it, and then you will have to use the cold chain again, and then you will have to use the transports again, and then you will have to use the logistics again. But if you have a lot of small farms connected with expert teams working for them, and if you get as near as possible as the people where people live, then you can have a very, very efficient waste loop, food loop, and climate mitigation. So that's about the big idea. But we are starting now also to work with Africa, because what we can do with sea fish, we can also do it with aquaponia. Aquaponia is just using fish to give to bring more richness to the water. So in Africa, what we do like a little pools made out of soil, a bit higher, so we can have gravity. We put the fish in the pond, and the pond the fish will have their organic rejection in the water, and then you use the water. It's a bit green because it's very charged, and then that water will run with a drop system to an amazing, much more fertile orchard. So basically, when you look at the fish, when you look at how quick they can reproduce, how good they are for our health, how good they are for the water they can enrich. I mean, so it gives a very different perspective to aquaculture. If you look at the ocean, it gives a very different approach to energy. So basically, my message today, if you want to get blue, to blue economy, get closer to biologists, get closer to engineers who work on the living science, try to understand how nature works, get some interest in biomimicry, and then you will have a lot of opportunities. But my main message is also we have to switch from big to small units, very well connected. You know, just like your body, like the cells in your body, where you have one brain, but all the cells are completely very efficient and they work as a whole. So that's the big vision for the for the blue economy. Small scale initiatives with a lot of low cost, high efficiency, and with a lot of expertise use for all of them. So that's how we work at the Institute.
Thank you, Patricia. You've taken on a massive challenge because most of the Earth is water, is oceans, and a lot of it has been pretty much destroyed from fish and coastal areas and that. So you have a massive challenge of trying to address it. I know that you focus on the Mediterranean. How do you
Yes.
keep the passion because the challenge is so massive?
By experience, the scientific people always said that the Mediterranean Sea, it's just like a little role model for the ocean, a small ocean, because it really figures all the challenges between human activities and the biodiversity. For example, in France, we have national parks. The first one was founded in 1963, and there were only 4 groupers alive at that time. Last year, we went in for some inventory, and there are over 800. That means that if you left time and space to nature, it will come back. Still, there are some very big issues. The issue is the temperature. We will have the timeline of the planet and the climate is way out of the human size. So that trend of warmer water will probably keep long, and then it will of course affect the big currents. So yes, the ocean is going to get big change, but reason why and reason more to stop pressuring the ocean by crazy unregulated fishing. Most of the fishing today is not regulated because of illegal catches, because there's so many gray zone. It's not a white and black. If you look at the satellite observation, you could see a lot of fishing boats, legal boats, will cut their their signal for maybe 1 hour or 2, and they're at the edge of the territorial waters, and then you lost them for 2 hours, and then you can see that there are a lot of boats coming around, and then the boat come back again and come home. So they are trade. Fish is an amazing market, but the ocean cannot stand so much pressure, and if that system crawls, it would be much harder. So today it's still time, and we cannot regulate the fish on the global scale. But what we can do, we can have a commercial war, and we can have a commercial win by creating something cheaper than the fish flour, greener, and more social and more accepted by legals. We can imagine that in some countries the flour from wild fish could be maybe taxed or maybe even regulated, but we have to find the solution, and we have to make it on a completely open, no copyright. That's another story. Copyleft. I mean, we have to keep in mind that we will all get out of that together by working together. So we have to change a lot of mindset. We have to change the mindset of copyright. We have to change the mindset of make it big. We have to change the mindset of global transportation. We have it's a great challenge. But I don't know. There's a phrase in France that said, if we want anything to change, we will have to change everything. So we're at that point. So the opportunity of business are still yet on small innovators or big companies trying to have a different way of doing things. But definitely, the ocean will take a big part on it, and the biology and the understanding of how the ecosystems works will be at the core of those new great innovations.
You said to me that you're not a fan of bioengineering to sequester carbon. You prefer, as you were saying, more of a science-based, nature-based approach.
I think nature is so complex, so complex. It's like an infinite clock, and I don't know. We understand. Tara started to go on plankton, and it's completely new world. I mean, and we don't know what we're going to touch, and it's pure wisdom. We know that the ocean can make the job if we let it. If we have MPAs, if we have a no take zone, if we have a no activity or mining or whatever. If we stay, if we keep bigger, quiet, fully protected MPAs around the world, and if we make it bigger, the ocean can restore. But geoengineering, it's a technological vision, and because are good at maths and physics, but not because you were good at biology. But today the challenge is biology. So we decide that we can go to the moon, we can go to Mars, we can do everything using our brain to make machines and robots and digitals and what. But today we have to face that we are much smaller than the complexity of 3.8 billions of R&D, which is the living. We are very good, but we cannot make a heart with no battery. We can't make a brain that just one night's sleep and a good lunch and then it goes back. I mean, the living is such an amazing world, and if we go there with a big power and big technology, and we said, okay, come on, CO2, go back in the water and push it. I think we have a great risk of making a bigger mess, and we did already mess enough. I think then we have to understand that we are living beings, and life is an amazing story, adventure, opportunity, science, data. I mean, whatever. So stop messing with that. Yes.
You're I agree with you. The opportunity of going to vertical farming on land for fish. Actually, one of our clients is doing that. Unfortunately, they're not following your idea of doing it small. They're doing very big, and they're planning one in France, very big vertical farm.
Yeah, those are the pioneers of the new world, and pioneers always do what they can do at the moment. But I see also something very interesting. I see the accountability of the companies, and now we have what we call green accountancy or green. I mean, and we are going a bit towards more of that. I mean, it will not be pure finance anymore. It's going to be finance plus impact plus social plus climate plus biodiversity plus responsibility, corporate, social, blah blah blah. I think tomorrow companies will make more money by doing stuff on a different way, and so maybe the capacity of scaling down to go nearer the people will be one day more economic and more profitable.
Can you say anything about the coral reefs are disappearing also because of temperature rises and bleaching of the oceans? Have you seen any technology to try to restore coastal areas for protection?
The only thing, there's a very nice work being done by l'Institut Albert Ier de Monaco in Monaco with Professor Lallemand. But still, it's always a question of time. Corals, it's centuries. And coral, it's a how do you call that? It's a symbiosis encounter between a little organism and another organism. So basically, corals cannot survive if it's imbalanced, because you've got the little organism who lives in the coral. One gives sugar, the other one gives the feed. So there's a very win-win kind of way of living, and that's a coral. Coral is a huge ecosystem of win-win balance. But because of the temperature, because of the loss of oxygen, and maybe also because also of the change of the acidity, the little animals that live in the coral just dies or get out. So that's the makes the coral reef crawl and becomes white. So the only thing we can do today, it's maybe trying to have a better idea of who are the champions. We have coral champions, coral who survives more temperature, lower level of oxygen, different acidity. So it's more like trying to save the champion and trying to you can I don't know how to say it in English. In French, it's called butturer. So you basically kind of like you do when you do that with fruits in the garden. So that works, but it's such a long time. So I think the coral will take a long time. But we have to keep in mind also something, because nature in natura means in becoming. The world has changed since the very beginning, and we have the idea that everything should remain the same, but it's the wind completely built by cow and responses, and maybe the coral will come back or will disappear or will survive, but everything changes every single minute on every single place in the earth. So instead of trying to fight to keep something as it was, we should just try to understand much quicker how it works and try to be as light as possible and as clever as possible, and try to find a new way, a new economy, a new way of doing health and of doing exchanges. I mean, but I think observation it's more important. But we have to change a lot of things. But just we keep in mind it just could be for the better.
What for you has been one of the most successful ocean conservation projects anywhere in the world that you might share that many people don't know? Because we seem to only hear horror stories about everything collapsing. And
well, yeah, because that's the media. It's so much easier to say that something goes wrong, because then you said it's a pity. But if you say something works, then you have to explain. And there again, we get in a very complex world, and all those are quite brand new ideas, and sometimes it's just easy to see the black side of the coin. I like the idea of the MPAs. It's not a revolutionary action, but what I like in the marine protected areas is that it's worldwide now. It's completely acknowledged by the UN nation. It's acknowledged by most of the country, and I think we can pay a great tribute to Peter Thompson, which is a special envoy for ocean in the UN, and he has done such an amazing job gathering all those countries to really goes to that 10% of marine protected areas. That works. I mean, for example, if you make a marine protected areas, you will have a quite biodiversity. Then you will have a relaunching of the producing of the fish stock, and then the fisher will around the MPA will be happy, and then the tourists will be happy because it's lovely, and then the people who are going to work there are going to pay attention because they're not supposed to harm the place. So then you realize that when you save a place, and if it's well done with generosity and expertise, and win-win partnerships, it's a win-win for everyone, and mostly for the ocean. And but the people have we still need some explanation on how the global economy will be better if the global nature it's well conserved. But for example, if you go to a very expensive hotel, you expect to have a beautiful pristine beach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have a room on the gorgeous garden, it will be more expensive than if you have a room on the car park. So let's put that simple common fact on the big area. But the problem is that today we have to do that, but we have also to keep in mind that, for example, a marine protected area can also take the fish out of the end of the local community. But then if you have a marine protected area, then you have marine biologists who can survey and monitor the marine protected area. But then they can also help the local community to build that great farm, that fishing farm, because if you use, as we do at the Institute, we have fish, we have sea urchins, we have shells, we have algae and worms, and the algae at the end of the process, it makes the water even cleaner than when it comes in. and whatever was organic has been completely metabolized and used by all the organisms you're raising. So there are nice ways to do things, and if you can say that, okay, if you take a marine protected areas and you have a small community and they need some protein, they need some jobs, they need some money, they need some local economy, you can help them using the expertise of the marine biologists of the MPA, and you can help those people to build a permaculture. We can make it's all about sharing expertise, knowledge, and just sharing and sharing the will of not harming living systems anymore, because it's our living system. We depend on that.
I'm going to start taking some of the questions from the audience. Alexander Hoare from the Hoare Bank in the UK, he was interested in how useful restoring seagrass and growing seaweed might be for multiple benefits.
Okay, seagrass. Well, seagrass is not in all over the places. You've got Mediterranean Sea. You have the Posidonia. You have so because you have the plants and the algae. So we have to make a difference. The plants, the what we call the seabed plants, are very very important for oxygen producing and storage carbon. I mean, for example, if you look at the Posidonia in the Mediterranean Sea, they're doing as much as work on CO2 than the rainforest. But it's very important to keep it, because it really makes the oxygen part of the oxygen of the ocean. Then you will have the phytoplankton doing the work too, and then you will have some algae. But some also it's not always clear. But if it's too complex, I would not get there. So you need to have seabed plants and seabed. The plants are very important, like the mangroves too. And then you have the algae, and the algae are very important because algae are very, very amazing on the chemical aspect. You can make a plastic out of algae. You can make food out of algae. You can make a lot of things, and you can clean the water with the algae. Every time you've got invasion of algae, it's because the water has been polluted by agriculture, farming, or by or plant by something was being put in the water or shouldn't be there, and so the algae appear, but they just appear to fix the things. So algae are very very interesting to balance and to restore and to do amazing things. But once again, we have to try not to do the same errors. Ocean should not be the new farming, and if it does, it has to be a small, intelligent expertise farming, like permaculture or agroecology. But we have to start doing big, stupid, unique things. That's one of the lessons of nature. Nature never produces things that are only used for one thing. It's always much more complex. We have to get. I mean, the future will be about understanding and using that complexity.
Teresa wanted, I don't know this word, copyleft. How do you think copyleft, sorry.
Copyleft,
will affect the acceleration of the blue economy transition?
Yeah, for example, today companies are very, very aware of the value of their copyrights, either in health, either in computer, either in artistic property. I mean, the notion of copyright, it's the base of the open markets. So today you will have a company in the same sector. Okay, take the energy. Let's take the energy sector. If you want to go to an innovation, you will stay very private, very secret in your lab or in your office or in design stuff, and you're going to spend a lot of money on that. And then of course you expect that your copyright will get that money back, your return on investment, which is the way everybody works today. But the challenge and the intensity and the complexity of the challenge we have to do today will be maybe a better approach to have companies, even if they're not friendly, to work together on development platforms and research, breakthrough innovation to get to that blue economy. And then please leave that and helping with state money, public-private financing, that kind of how do you call that, blended finance, and then that innovation should be shared, because even if you say, if you find a great stuff to change the climate, you want India and China and Africa and South America to have it too, because it's a really global project to stop the climate acceleration. So I think copyleft, it's the best way, working together, sharing innovation, sharing knowledge, and okay, switching from competition to collaboration. I think it's one of the key.
Okay, let's hope that the EU monopoly department agrees with you. Teo wanted to know. I don't know if you saw the movie Sea Piracy from
Yes,
Netflix.
I saw it. I saw it. It's quite well done. I think I think we have to pay attention to the movies or the books or the people who only shows one side of the coin. Of course, those images are terrible. I mean, the slaughtering of the globicephala in the Faroe Island, it's impossible. But you know what? For some people, deer hunting is unbearable, or bullfighting in Spain is unbearable, or it's terrible. But we have to find ways where we can share and talk together. So we all hope that one day every people will stop harming animals on the planet. But if you build fences, and if you stay everyone on its side, it won't. We need a common dialogue to save common goods. Ocean is a common good of humanity. Biodiversity is a common good of humanity. So we need to have people building bridges and not building fences. I know it's hard. It's a good documentary, but it's not what we need. We need people trying to spray and to explain that we need to talk to each other, even if we have different cultural, even if we have religious differences. I mean, we cannot manage common goods by looking at all the things you don't like, or the hatred you got for the other. I think it's a kind of new discipline. We have to accept the differences, and we have to really pay attention to not losing the chance of managing together what are still common goods.
Brian wanted to know, with this idea of copyleft, of avoiding copyright and making it more inclusive, do you think it's still possible to support innovation investment without copyright?
You know what? One day someone said, let's walk in the moon. At the first time, people laugh. And then people start thinking, oh my God, that might be possible. And then everybody gets scared. And that was the Cold War. And then you know what? Everybody got the picture of the guy walking on the moon. And you know what? Someday someone said, what if the woman vote? And everybody laughed because it was so funny. And then everybody started understanding, oh my God, if the woman votes, they will not stay home with the kid in the kitchen. And then the woman votes, and everybody finds it normal. One day someone said, should we free the slaves? And everybody laughed. And then everybody gets scared. And then it happens. So I think that the most crazy ideas, when they start being frightening, means that they're on their way. That's all I said.
Derek wanted to ask you, post-crisis, do you see novel public-private coastal business models emerging to help both local communities and biodiversity?
You might, sorry, I'm very warm. You might have some little experiences, but as far as I know, the small experience today are very supported by the private sector because or philanthropy, because they can. When you're on a philanthropy base, you don't need to have so much KPIs. You don't need to have some EBITDA. I mean, you can just try. And your goal is to succeed. Your goal is to, and then of course you share, and then your goal is to maybe have some public funding too. So I do believe that a very well balanced public-private approach would be great, because then you have positive mechanisms. For example, if you're a company and you make a foundation, the money you're gonna give to that foundation will help that foundation to raise even more public money. because they will have their private funding share. So I think today we really have to build with much more actors, much bigger partnerships, smaller project, bigger partnerships, and really save and protect the part of the money that can let people try. Because if you are completely obsessed with your return on investment, it really diminish your audacity, your patience, and some innovation needs time and patience, and that can be saved by the private money on philanthropy. I do believe that philanthropy should be higher on those subjects. Yes.
Mm-hmm. What can this audience that's listening now live or that will listen taped do to help your organization?
Oh, well, we have a site, so it's Institut. Well, you go on Google, Institut Oceanographique Paul Ricard.
I'll send it to everyone.
But that was not my point. I think the best thing is if you're in a company, and if there's very good and honest and great NGOs around you, join them. Don't do another structure. Don't make your own NGO. Join the other ones. It's time to stop. We have to stop splitting the means. Help and invite biologists, invite ecologists, invite people from science in your company. Try to look around and see what biomimicry is. Try to understand how having a different look on the climate, ocean, biodiversity challenge can maybe improve your product, can also improve the fame and the publicity for your product, and maybe the reputation of your companies if you're in financial issues. Get inspired by nature, get inspired by people who can explain that to you, and make crazy teams. I like the crazy teams. Well, make meetings with no reason, just to try to have crazy ideas.
Yeah.
We get out of a year and a half of very precise and very organized webinars and meetings, and there's no more creativity around, and we need that. So invite a scientist on the subject you like, and then let people ask crazy questions. I think it's important.
Okay. Brian had a very specific question about Sardinia. How can we generate the habitat for the sardines near Sardinia? I don't know if you have any expertise.
If you're talking about, are you talking about the sardines, the
yes.
little fish?
Yes.
Well, those fish are they're not completely local. They move around, and they're very important because they're at the base for the. Have you ever seen a movie or some images on internet? Go and say Sardine Run. It's amazing. Look at that. It's the way the sardine will. They're just fit for everyone. They're fit for whales, for sharks, for dolphins, for birds. I mean, they're the base of the ecosystem, of the feeding ecosystem. So one of the best way will be stop fishing them to make cat and pet food or fish food or omega-3 for your skin cream. Those sardines are so important to the ecosystem on the ocean because it's the bread for all the other species. And go on YouTube and go to see Sardine Run. You'll be amazed.
You're very passionate, and I'm sure because of the work that you've done and your organization that you're able to get access to decision makers maybe more so than others. But it's very challenging working with government to try to get them moving, or business or investors. How do you keep the passion and the kind of the commitment, because it can be quite depressing?
Well, I keep the passion because I know there are solutions. I know we are not completely lost. So and I know I'm starting to see. I started 30. To be honest, I'm 58 years old, and I started. I was 20. So I've seen the beginning of the movie, and I've seen how fast the consensus and the change of mind and the mindset are moving. And also, I had the chance to be head of file for a French delegation on a 10-country diplomatic adventure, let's call it that way. And I've seen that it was the same in some other countries, and even in more poorer countries. I've got the chance to work on the company which is global, and I see how much and how quick they go on eco-conception, sustainability. I mean, everything's moved so fast. Now I think the important is to give tools to the people, to give blueprint. How can I do? Okay, if I'm the founder and owner of a company. How can I make it more sustainable? How can I make it happen? Okay, I work on the finance bank. How can I make better investments? How can I have better information? So today, I think it's more about organizing that knowledge and transfer the best expertise and the best practice. So I'm going to share one with you because for the last 5 years, I think I've been through maybe almost 1,000 projects, because a lot of people come and ask me what I think and And when I was on the diplomatic mission, we had 300 very important and very serious projects, but still we had to decide. So now I've seen a lot of projects. I've seen a lot of them crawling, disappearing, but now I can tell how a good project works. And I think it's what I call the magic square. It has to rely on 4 pillars. The first one, it has to be supported by a company, a private company, because if that idea is not interesting for a company, it probably will not have a future. It has to be supported by a university, because if the university supports the project, that means you're on the good path. That means you're on the good sustainability, and you've got good science and good knowledge. And most of it, the university is going to spread the knowledge to the students. And third pillars, it has to be supported by NGO, because if your project goes well with the company, goes well with the university, and goes well with the NGOs, then you're on the right way of global acceptation. So you're on the blue path. And the fourth, it has to be supported by an institution or a territory. You need political courage. You need legal courage. You need probably public finance. So if you have a good project that interests a company, interests a university, interest in NGO or a foundation, and interest an institution or a territory, you're in the good way. And that's how you should build project today, because project today needs to be very complex and needs to have all the stakeholders joining on the same vision. And then the company will help on producing and putting on the market. The university will enhance the research and development. The NGO will enhance the fame of it and the social network and also maybe the lobbying. And then the political or institutional stakeholders will help you with the land, will help you with the permission, will help you with the financing, will help you with some legal. So that's a good way of building a project, this magic square.
It's the new EU, the Green New Deal that they've announced with very large funding. Is there any money allocated for ocean conservation?
Oh, that's one of the problem. The Green Deal is not very blue, so that's why they did the starfish program. Mr. Lamy at the Commission did a starfish program. So they realized that the blue was not enough. Ocean NGOs are very, very efficient because we are organized. Go on internet and look at something called Ocean and Climate Platform. Let me tell me the story about that platform. It's a network, and I can tell the story because we were 5, and today we are over 100. We started at COP21 in Paris because ocean was never addressed by the UNFCCC on the climate COPs, and so and you know what? Ocean, it's the earth of the climate. The ocean is the master of climate, and yet nobody talk about ocean in those big events called COP21. So here we are, we're in Paris, and we decide that instead of doing a little lobby each on our side, we come together. We start with the ministry, we start with the people of the COP, and then at the end of the COP21, Accord de Paris, for the first time, 21 meeting later, COP21, the ocean, the name, the word ocean was written down. 2 years later, you have the IPCC doing a major report on ocean and cryosphere. And that's why, because we all came up together and we pushed together on the same goal. We want the ocean to be on the climate agenda on the UNCCC. We want a special report from IPCC on the ocean. We want we want MPA. So that's another good tip. Try to make networks with NGOs and private foundation and companies and institutions and whatever, but push together and one step at a time, and it works. It really works.
So for you, it's more about small, consistent wins rather than massive breakthroughs.
Well, it's breakthrough is the key. Breakthrough is the key. Breakthrough has to be mindset, has to be financial, has to be legal, has to be competition, has to be. We have to change a lot of things because we've done it already. The system we're living in, I think. There's quite a global agreement, even if some people are getting richer and some other are getting poorer, but even the richer are starting to understand that the game is not going to be a very long game, and you have more to lose when you're on the rich side and when you're. So we have to change things. The real question is, how are we going to make it? Because we don't want to switch from something not good to a very chaotic situation. And so we need, it's still time. That's the message. It's still time. But we need to organize the expertise and the ability. And you know what? Companies have got great expertise on some subject. In university are expert on other subject. NGOs are good on other. We have to join all those expertise. And make it, it's just that we have to build a big orchestra, and we need to play. We need to learn to play together, and we can make it because it's a win-win. It's a global win-win.
Well, you're a very humble director. I'm very sensitive about your time because I know you have several important meetings this afternoon. I want to thank you very, very much for sharing this. This is now be a live stream on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll send everybody a link for the replay and some information about Patricia's organization. If we could just take one group selfie with everybody, and I can share that. So I'll do. You just
go selfie. Okay, go selfie.
And that's all. So you just put take a photo of yourself, and then it'll move around to each person. So again, Patricia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
Very grateful, and thank you so much for all of the work that you do and for the passion that you bring for a very challenging project. It's not easy cleaning up the mess of the oceans.
No, it's organizing the next party, the sweet and blue party. Okay, thank you, everyone, and
thank you so much. And if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know.
Thank you, Robert. Well, thank you for letting me sharing my ideas with you today.
My pleasure, my pleasure. À bientôt.
Bye. À bientôt tout le monde. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Okay, thank you so much. I'll send you all a link with the for the replay for those of you who want to watch it again. We have been streaming this on YouTube. I'm going to end the group selfie because it seems that I think most of you have joined if you want to. Thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Next week, we'll be starting a bit later because it's with someone from California. So please check the times. Stay well.